So Mr. Poilievre last year, he called you and Justin Trudeau radical and wacko. He called you and Bruno Marchand incompetents. Is there not a little bit of relief or satisfaction that that kind of attitude towards mayors, that kind of politics is not what you're going to be dealing with in the next few, I guess, months for you?
Well, I think that electors have talked about that, about maybe like a style that is not necessarily that represents well Canadians and how we think and how we do things with the results. You know, I think Canadians are saying we can not agree, we can be kind of fiercely, engaged in a debate. We can be against certain things, but I think respect is very important. That being said, I was very impressed on how Mr. Poilievre accepted his defeat. He was very humble. He was very nice. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not buying that at all. Valérie Plante, our outgoing mayor, talking about the fact that back in the day, Pierre Poilievre did single out, of course, Valérie Plante. I think it had to do with housing at the time. James Mennie is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, anything to be taken from that?
I think it was a very nice, politely phrased and meandering explanation that if you behave like a jerk, people won't vote for you, which is pretty much what happened to Pierre Poilievre. Yeah. The other thing, of course, is I'm wondering how long it's going to be before his picture winds up on a milk carton, because quite frankly, he has been nowhere since election night. Absolutely nowhere. The statement was put out just before I came on air from the Conservative Party, with the Conservative leader, not being quoted, but sort of a statement from the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, on the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. That's it. That's all. Where is he? What will he do? What are the party's plans? We have no idea. And I think that really, more than anything else, Aaron, is more of a, how can I put it, a silent scream on the part of the party that calls itself the Conservative Party of Canada, because even though it seems to me a lot of the media have spun it, well, they did rather well in Ontario. They gained like 2,000 seats. This was a humiliation, Aaron. This is the fourth time they tried to beat the Liberals, and not a very robust Liberal Party. It's the fourth time they tried to beat the Liberals. It's the fourth time they got their teeth kicked in. Oh, yes, and by the way, the good voters of Carleton saved the party of the trouble of doing the kind of ritual, the sort of traditional execution of their leader after the electoral defeat. They put him out of office right away. So honestly, I think perhaps the enormity, I'm sure it's being felt by the caucus, I'm sure it's being felt by strategists and planners and the people who are behind the infrastructure of the Conservative Party of Canada, realizing that this was about as bad as things could get. So this idea, and once again, the fact that Mr. Poilievre is apparently incommunicado is not helping the party's cause at all. I can imagine what the headlines would have been today if the role had been reversed and Mark Carney had decided to disappear after losing the election and losing his riding. And yet somehow we're still looking at this as, whoa, it was a rather good showing on the part of the Conservatives. Those extra seats that they won may as well be on the moon, Aaron, for all the difference they're going to make in the governance of this country in the years to come. But the big question, the fundamental question, and perhaps the answer to that question was being slightly contained in Madame Plante's comments is, where is Pierre Poilievre? And when he finally does surface, what in God's name is he going to say?
Yeah. Do you think, Jim, this is the basis of my question, which I will ask when we get done here, with respect to, and I don't know if you read the article or the op-ed by Sandy White, who's going to be on at 5:30, yes, right?
Yes, I did.
Suggesting that it's time to call it a day. And when I asked people at the first go-round, I think opinion was kind of split. A lot of people said, no, he should stay. He got them to where they are right now. And of course, as you pointed out, where they are right now is they lost again. That's where they are right now. Plus, yeah, he lost his own riding. What do you think happens when you talk about internally in that party right now? There are obviously a lot of loyalists, right? They're there, and they will speak up. We heard one who was on with Vashi earlier in the day today saying, no, he's in for the long haul. Do you think there's something brewing right now with respect to getting him out?
Just as someone who's been covering politics for a fair amount of my career, most Conservative MPs that I have covered were pretty outspoken. Yes, and they could be loyalists. The conservative caucus of Pierre Poilievre reminds me very much of the Republican caucus of Donald Trump. They don't say a word out of line unless it's to be in praise of the great leader. But this was a disastrous campaign. It was a disaster from the get-go. It had a leader with an unproven track record as a campaigner who basically led his party to a humiliating defeat, mostly attributable to his own pig-headedness about whether or not to change the direction of his campaign, to change his attitude. And so, I guess in the end, it was easier for Pierre Poilievre and his loyalists, he said, making air quotes, to follow the same mantra of three-word slogans, insulting your opponents rather than challenging challenging them on the basis of their ideas. And now, apparently, the next deep Zen 12th dimensional chess move on the part of the leader of the Conservative Party is to simply disappear from the face of the earth. My question is, how long will the media, and indeed how long will the conservative establishment tolerate what, to all intents and purposes, seems to be someone who ran crying into their room and slammed the door?
All right, let me move on from that. I'm going to come back to it, as I said, in a minute. We'll find out what our listeners think. You have a note here saying Eric Duhem throws down. What do you throw down, Jim?
He's going to be running in the Arthabasca by-election, finally.
Oh.
He's coming down. We're going to have the head of the Conservative Party of Quebec, not to be confused with the Conservative Party of Canada. He's decided, because, he's been sort of like looking at various by-elections, and he figured the time wasn't right. I think he is realizing at this point the time is getting very, very right. He's going to have to get in the game. He's going to have to get on the field, if only because right now the National Assembly is in such a state of flux, Aaron, that you have the interim leader of the Quebec Liberal Party today saying the next election will be between the business-oriented Liberals and the PQ, who want to separate from Canada. And I'm getting like a dizzy spell, because all of a sudden I'm in the Wayback Machine. Mm-hmm. I'm much, much younger. My hair is much, much darker. And it's 1976 all over again, right? We haven't moved anywhere. It's the same dichotomy. Vote for us or the country gets it. It's like the same thing. And we're getting nothing. We're getting no kind of a nuance, no kind of a stand down from Paul St. Pierre Poilievre. Poilievre.
That's a good line. Paul St. Pierre Poilievre. I got to keep that.
I tell you, there's too many damn P's in this whole. All that to tell you, Aaron, it's going to be the same old clash. It'll be like old times again. 2026 is going to feel like 1976.
Yeah. It's
going to be Liberals versus PQ versus Sovereignists versus Federalists, just like dans les downtown in the good old days. And people in their rocking chairs will nod and approvingly and say,
I remember those
back
days.
To fighting for the real stuff.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to, I know we didn't talk about it yesterday. It's gained a bit of traction today, mainly on the French side. It's always nice to see separatists fight, isn't it? You have Paul St. Pierre Plamondon taking a whack out of Yves Francois Blanchet. I mean, this is kind of fun to watch.
Well, the big issue here as well, and it's always been a delicate balance, because when the Bloc Québécois was created in a fit of pique by Lucien Bouchard, the idea wasn't that he would become, it wasn't intentional that he would become the spokesperson for the sovereignist movement, even though he did, much to the chagrin of a lot of péquistes who were, duly elected in Quebec. And since then, it was supposed to have been a separation of powers. For a while there, the Bloc had its own internal problems, and no one was really taking it seriously. All of a sudden, here is Yves-François Blanchet. And, I guess, do people not listen to what this guy says? Because he's saying, he's being very conciliatory with Mark Carney, offering a truce. Did you listen to what he said? I offer a truce in exchange for Mark Carney not sticking his nose into Quebec business about, human rights or
everything.
Whatever. Everything. Leave that alone. Be like Justin Trudeau. Be my personal political doormat, and everything will be just fine. Well, you know what? I don't think Carney's going to buy into that. I don't think the voters are going to buy into it either. But certainly, for Paul St. Pierre Plamondon, he does not need Bellemare. He does not need somebody, contradicting him in the far corner of the room. The guy, remember, the guy has only got 5 MNAs. He's got to field an entire slate, 125 candidates, and he has got to win. And he's also got this self-forged anchor around his neck with the promise, the absolute guarantee he will hold a referendum on sovereignty in the first mandate of a PQ government. Ça va compliquer des choses.
Ouais, je comprends. Puis, I don't know if you happened to hear Maxime Bernier yesterday. I had him on at about 5:20.
Yeah.
I just want to play one clip for people who might have missed it, right? Talking about the election, I asked him about Pierre Poilievre. Then out of nowhere came this line. So you know the reference of Pierre Poilievre being sort of too much like Donald Trump, at least at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I asked him about it, and he said this.
The conservative are only conservative in name. You know, the media was saying that Poilievre is like Trump. I'm the Canadian Trump.
I'm the Canadian Trump. There you go.
And he's got the numbers to prove it.
Yeah. He finished fourth, second to last in the Beauce, yet he continues to get out there, and I don't know what his story is or why he keeps doing this. He did mention, though, that he has 96% support from his party as far as staying on as leader. So there you go. Which is probably more than Pierre Poilievre, I would guess, but who knows?
Honestly, I think you're 100% right.
All right, that's my question to come. Jim, thank you.
Ademant.